it's Melissa again. And my angels and guides are here still, always. I just finished the little videotape about my sister and the messages on my blog. During that, I mentioned the idea of auto writing. And as I've promised in earlier videos, I would like to offer some suggestions on how you can open the lines of communication with your own angels and guides. Trying to discern, in all the chatter in your head, what's you, what's them, what's going on. One technique is called auto writing. I think there's a book called Angel Speak, which I can't remember the authors, but it was a really good book. But basically, you've got a couple choices of media, if you'll pardon the pun. Many people would sit down with pen and paper and write down a question like, what should I do about whatever? And just start writing whatever the answer is. It takes some practice. I often find I don't auto write handwriting because my handwriting is just terrible. What my sister did and what I will do often is to meditate first. At the very least, take time to breathe deeply, decompress, relax, sort of focus by unfocusing, just chill, and sit down at the computer and basically say, what do I need to know today? Sometimes I ask a specific question. More often I'll just go, what do you want to tell me? And I'll just begin to type. It does feel a lot like stream of consciousness. In the beginning it's awkward because I often don't look at the screen, but I'll be like, is it me? Is it them? Is it me? Am I just rambling? I think if you do it often enough and long enough, you get to see that, especially if you're typing quickly or you're writing quickly. I'm not sure your brain works. My brain doesn't always work that fast. As fast as it works, I don't think it always works that fast, especially when you start coming up with stuff you're like, whoa, this is not me. In the earlier video tip, I talked about my sister Nancy. In the beginning, she really felt like, she didn't tell me when she first started doing this because she thought this is just a bunch of hooey and what am I doing? But when she finally showed me after she'd done it a few times, is I could point out clearly that it looked as though there was more than one person or more than one voice talking to her in terms of style. And also there were sometimes phrasing and sometimes information that I knew she didn't have. Things phrased in a way that I knew she would never, words she wouldn't use. I think when you look at it analytically, you're like, oh, I don't know where that came from. Often your guides can talk to you that way. I hope this is making sense. But basically, if you really like, what should I do? Should I buy that new car? Is this relationship a good thing for me? If you just kind of relax and sit down and then ask, please give me guidance, that the auto writing or auto typing, if you want to call that, is one technique that you can use, especially if you're not really sure of, if you're getting auditory messages, and I don't mean like hearing voices as if you have an emotional problem, but I've gotten to the point where I can tell the difference between messages from them and my own thoughts most of the time. Sometimes the auto writing is a good way to and if worst comes to worst and all you're doing is getting your own feelings on paper, there's something real therapeutic about that too, just about journaling. This is a little different. Anyway, it's a technique that works for some people. It's one you might like to try. Again, to recap, I would suggest that you meditate on a daily basis, if not just a couple times a day, take a chill pill to try and relax, calm down, and get more connected with your people, less connected with all the stuff that's going on, all the junk, more connected with those loving beings that are trying to communicate and help and assist you. And either when you're ready, after you've kind of chilled a little bit, either sit down with a paper and pen and ask a question, or if you type well, sit at the computer. You probably could also even, I've never done this, they're just telling me now, if you're more auditory and you like to talk, blah, 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 like some of us do, you might want to sit down with a tape recorder and say, what should I do about blank? Take a deep breath and just start talking and see what comes out. Or videotape yourself. There's a good way to use many different media that are available now to try and facilitate your connection, to open the lines of communication with your angels and guides. Well, that's the current little tip of the day for contacting your people. To repeat myself, many blessings, tremendous happiness, a good relationship with your people, and have a good day until